What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Fast Expand, the Warcraft 3 podcast that covers all the topics, whether it's esports, community stuff, or just the latest news. My name is Kendric, and it's cool to have you back. Thank you so much for tuning in, and you made a good life choice, my friends, because today we have none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Lado himself on the show. How's it going, dude?
Hello, it is going great. Life is good.
Life is good indeed, and how could it not, right? When there is so much saucy Warcraft 3 action on the horizon. We have the first big offline tournament in Reforged coming up with Dreamhack Anaheim. Then there's a whole bunch of shebang really in the esports segment that we are going to tackle a little bit later. And before we get into the nitty-gritty, Lado, just tell me more about you. There might be some people listening or watching that have never seen your face before. So what do you do, and how did you get into Warcraft 3?
So like most people, I started about 15 years ago in
Nice.
2006-ish time is kind of when I started. 2005, 2006 is kind of when I started playing. And I got into the ladder, started playing ladder. I did pretty well on the ladder. I found myself on a team, started playing in the leagues. At one point in like 2007, 2008, I was playing in NGL 1 and WC3L, which were like the two top leagues at the time.
Right.
And I was playing on a few different teams throughout the course of like those 2 to 3 years, but I played on like Defs, RG, KOD, MSY. So that's like my competitive gaming life background. And then
any notable achievements, like any cello players that you ever beat and you're really proud of?
No, I did beat Focus once in a
Oh
Zotac
shit,
Cup.
that's really good actually. Nice.
Yeah. I used to play the Zotac Cups pretty frequently, and it was kind of I never won one, but it was kind of one of those things. I wanted to see how far in the rounds you would get, and I would pretty frequently make it like to the 5th or 6th round, which was pretty good. Especially for the American players, because those Zotac Cups were just filled with all the Asian players, and those guys are, as we know, they tend to dominate the scene. And so that's probably my best achievement. I don't know. I've beaten a lot of top players, but for the most part, I'm kind of like a couple tiers below the top players. I'm very realistic with that, and so I probably fall somewhere in like the top 15 American players, which puts me somewhere in like the top 50 maybe even 75 players if you include Europe. And if you start to include Asia, I mean, that then maybe top 500 world it's, I'm realistic with that. But my point is that I've been playing the game a long time. I really enjoy it. It's fun to be involved in the community. Also back then, part of my background is I was an audio commentator for WC Replays, which was one of the main
That's
main
where I used to
websites
get my replays from, man.
Yeah. So I was an audio commentator there for like about 2 years or so, like during the Warcraft Prime. And audio commentaries were essentially the way people got information before streaming was a thing. So people would go on to WC Replays to download audio commentaries. And my professional background is in education. So I used to try to put an educational spin on my commentaries. And I still do that actually with my streams, where I try to, use it as a platform to teach newer players and to try and attract new faces to this game that we all love so much.
So your profession is not only to beat some nerds and noobs, but also to educate them at the same time.
That's it. That is it. Yeah.
Really cool. But, you mentioned that in the old days, that kind of makes you realize how old you've gotten on the one hand. But it's really cool, to sometimes just reminisce in this nostalgia when you had to download the replay and the audio file separately and then just start them at the same time, and then you would have it. I also remember back in the days when there were esports broadcasts, a live broadcast, mind you, from tournaments. I remember listening to Kaldor just on Winamp, audio only. There was no video feed. And maybe if you're getting really high tech, there would be an IRC channel with a live bot that would be like, oh, damn, hero kill or something.
I remember those Winamp days. Plug in the whatever the link or the IP address or whatever it was that you wanted to listen to. And oh my gosh, yeah, that was and like staying up on there was all the different TeamSpeak or Mumble or whatever the program was at the time, but you'd be on like TeamSpeak or Mumble with your team, and you'd be like listening, or like during those clan wars, and you'd be like, talking to your teammates during the clan wars. That was honestly, it was like the glory days of Warcraft 3. It was so much fun.
Man, that was really good. It's hard to imagine, really, from today's perspective, like how basic everything was. How we didn't have the tools, the wonderful tools that we have today. I oftentimes feel spoiled, but it becomes natural. You don't even notice how awesome esports broadcasts have become with all the production and stuff. And I honestly can't wait to see what Dreamhack Anaheim has to offer. I'm not sure if you saw it. I know you just got home from work, but they 2 hours ago they released this cool hype trailer for the tournament.
No, I did not see it yet.
Oh, it's actually sick. If you want to, we can watch it together.
Sure.
It's like a minute long or so. You can find it on the Dreamhack Warcraft 3 Reforged Twitter.
Dreamhack Reforged Twitter. Give me 1 second.
I can also give you a link if you need. It's actually really good. It's a hype video that also features music by Pelik, who's like a very well-known heavy metal singer and musician on YouTube. So it's like we talked about nostalgia, and this music kind of reminds me of all the Dragon Ball Z music videos that used to be around.
Yeah.
So it kind of got the vibe there. You got it?
I think I see it. Yeah, I posted 2 hours ago.
Yeah. And you see this footman in the thumbnail, and okay. So let's start in 3, 2, 1. Monster Energy, good.
America's Navy. Interesting.
Yeah. And you can see it's custom made, actually, really sick.
Yeah, this is really good.
Yeah, and you see this green ray, this green beam. Just wait until the end, man.
Damn.
That's some good stuff right there, right?
That's so sick. You know what? Honestly, it doesn't even matter what you think of the video. Whether or not you like it or not, it doesn't even matter. Just the fact that they put some time and some effort into a video to get produced to try and hype this tournament up gives me hope. And hope is so good. Hope is such a strong emotion. And Blizzard did a very good job of killing our hope with the with the release of Reforged. So seeing this video, it bolsters your hope in the tournament just a little bit. It's good. It's really, really great.
It kind of felt like Blizzard. They sent the horde through the portal, through the dark portal, and we were just like overwhelmed. Our hope got crushed. The army of Reforged and the bugs and the Fiesta, it was too strong. But here it goes. Beacon of light at the horizon.
Yeah. No, Dreamhack is here to save us.
Yeah, and it's really nice, actually. So let's see if production goes this route, with funky metal stuff, a little bit old school, not taking it too seriously, not making it drop dead serious, maintaining the fun aspect about esports. That's what I'd love to see, because I'm coming from Heroes of a Storm, and there, the ACC, which was the prime league that they had there, it was very serious. People had to wear nice suits. They had to look very sharp and keep it serious, keep it professional, no jokes. I mean, jokes were allowed, don't get me wrong, but you couldn't do it overboard. So I always thought tournaments and leagues that were not taking themselves too seriously to be way more enjoyable to watch. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. It's a little bit of the flair of like the video game tournaments is that they don't take themselves super seriously. I kind of like it when they're not trying to be Sports Center. It's not. Sometimes you do see video game tournaments that try to take themselves too seriously, and I don't think it works as well. One of the most popular, and I've brought this up on my stream a bunch, but I also play Super Smash Bros. Melee. which is a really popular fighting game, and it's one of the most fun tournaments to watch. And one of the reasons is because the commentators, they're just themselves, and their personalities come out, and they don't have any restrictions on it. They might dress up, they might look nice, but like when they're talking about the game, that they absolutely love the game, they love the community, and they love what they're talking about, and they're passionate about it. So as long as that comes out, I think it's going to be a success.
And I really see a big chance there for the ESL Pro Tour this year, because Blizzard is so relatively out of the loop. They're not having their tight grip on production like they used to in WCS or the Overwatch League or something like that. It's relatively hands off. They put the responsibility into ESL's and DreamHack's hands. So I already like the direction they're going, not just with this trailer, with the artwork, but also with the talent they chose. I think it's a really solid lineup that they chose, and the players they invited, there's no complaints. Sure, we missed the Chinese or China-based players. There's not going to be Lin. There's no Chimiko, no Sock, no Infi, no TH. All these players had to stay home. But still, regardless, I think we have a stacked roster of players coming. What are your general hopes and dreams for this tournament, if there are any? What do you want to see in a couple hours from now?
So something that makes the so my hope. Well, I'll start off by saying my hope is that this draws attention to the game.
Yes.
My hope. Overall, my hope is to increase the player base, draw attention to the game, put eyes on Warcraft. That is by far that should be the number one goal of basically any tournament. That's the point of these tournaments. Get eyes on the game. So that being said, the way that you do that is you do it with a high level of production, which one of the reasons why I'm hyped seeing that video is because if they do put some resources into the production, high level of production goes a long way. When you're streaming a tournament, you're essentially asking people to give up their time, and people's time is very valuable.
Oh yeah.
So, to say, okay, we're going to be streaming this tournament for 8 hours a day for the next 3 days, and we want you to commit 24 hours this weekend to watching this tournament. That is a huge time investment for people. So it has to be worth their time. And for it to be worth their time, it has to have a professional level of production. So I think that's number one. The other thing is they're pulling in some really good commentators for it. So they have Back to Warcraft and Todd, which I think they're going to do great. They're going to do fantastic.
I just want to see Remo and Todd have balanced discussions. Hard and heavy, man. Have that human pride and let it get shattered by Remo's undead affliction. All that stuff. I want to see it.
It's going to be really good. Todd and Remo both have super high skill level. Neo is the hype man, as we know, and I think the three of them are just going to kill it. Yeah. My hope is that this tournament draws, and I've said this number on my stream as well, but my hope is that this tournament draws 10,000 people. I think if it draws 10,000 people to the channel, I think that can be considered a success. In general, kind of like the average viewership for like those weekly cups that the community holds is somewhere around like 4,000 to 5,000 viewers or so. So
which we have right now, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
On Back to Warcraft's channel, it's not that consistent, or it's not as consistent as I think many of us want it to be. But especially during the Rising Star Cups and the ESL Cups on Sundays, we've seen 5K before.
Yeah. And the other thing, that's actually growth over the last 2 years. There's been some huge growth. So even like 2 years ago, which is kind of when I got back into Warcraft, no pun intended, back to Warcraft was getting like around like 2,500 for like these kind of bigger cups or tournaments or whatever. So they've almost doubled their viewership in 2 years, which is a really good sign for the game. So I see this tournament as an opportunity to pull in a lot of new eyes onto the game. And I hope that as a community, we're able to hit that 10,000 viewer mark.
Yeah, you basically mirror my expectations there as well. I think 10K is this magical mark that we have to crack. Yeah. Ideally, we have that consistently, throughout all the broadcast days. It's probably going to take a while until it gets there. Mind you, times for EU people are not ideal, so EU fans are probably going to have to watch late at night, majority of the broadcast day at least. But man, I'm dreaming of a 20K grand final.
I think it's super possible. I think that's possible. It's very much so possible. With Smash Brothers, I know I keep drawing analogy. I think the two communities are very analogous. That's why I keep drawing these comparisons.
Gotcha.
But with Smash, the kind of the average viewership for these major tournaments is somewhere around 50,000, and for the finals, they hit 100,000. They double that viewership for the finals. So I don't think it's out of the question to see 15, 20,000 for the grand finals. And if that happens, that would be so great for this game. But then that's seriously just the start. And like putting eyes on the game is like step one, and then making the game good is step two. And that's kind of out of the community's hands. Like the community can really only do so much.
Yeah.
The community can like support the game with all of their heart and soul, but it's up to the devs to make sure that the game is good. And to be honest, right now, the state of the game is not perfect. It's not ideal. So after those eyes are on this game, it's going to be on Blizzard to see how they keep the ball rolling.
And I really hope, like, just imagine if we get a hype grand final, we get something along the lines of Happy versus Moon, and that's going to bring a lot of Western.
Very possible.
It's very possible. We have a double elimination bracket, so just imagine, dude, all the Western fans coming in cheering for Happy. Then we have old veterans maybe rediscovering Warcraft 3 because they recognize the name Moon. They want to see if he still has what it takes to beat those youngins. And then we have this hype grand final. And then I think that would also be a great signal to Blizzard and the developers, because you mentioned this earlier. We need every ounce of hope that we can find, but I think especially the developers, they also need a little bit of feedback, positive feedback, and they need some reaffirmation, to see like, hey, not everything that we did was in vain. So I think it's really like a strong showing, a strong grand final is a win-win really for everybody. So I'm really excited to see what the numbers will be like in the end. What do you think of the players that were invited? Mind you, we have a lot of strong players attending. Some of them were invited, 8 players. We have the names, and some strong players actually made it by themselves. They flew over. We have players like Neutron, very well-known Nido player from Russia. We have Ente, some players from the US, like we have OC and Arc, I think, attending as well, basically at their own expenses. So the 8 invited players that we have are Happy, Thorazane, Moon, Lawlight, Hitman, Focus, Foggy, and Hawk. Do you have any favorite to take it? Man, I have a bet going with Grubby.
I heard your bet.
You heard it? Okay.
Yeah, I heard you say it. I forget where, but I heard you say that you put your money on Focus.
I'm putting my money on Focus, dude. I think he's one of the few players that can maybe take down Happy, and I think he's the man to beat.
I agree that he's one of the few players to take down Happy, but I disagree that he's the favorite. I think Happy is a very strong favorite in this.
Yes.
Like Vegas odds wise, I would say Happy is like.
Oh yeah. If I had to bet my life on it, I wouldn't choose Focus.
Yeah. I mean, I would say Happy's by far the favorite. I would put it somewhere around like 65-70% chance for Happy to take the whole thing. I think Moon comes second, but Moon hasn't been playing a ton. Now he always does show up to lands. You can never underestimate Moon. He thinks about the game in a way that's so separate from all of the other players that it's almost impossible to prepare playing against him, which is what makes him such a force in these land tournaments. So you can never underestimate him. And I haven't seen him playing. Now, to be honest,
that's the thing, right? Have we seen him in any cups, any tournaments lately? He's been kind of like submarine mode, just invisible.
Not really. And the other thing is I know like he's married and has a family and has kids, and so I'm sure that takes away. I know he's still a pro gamer, and that is his career. I should put that in quotes. He's a pro gamer. He makes a living from gaming. But I think anyone is going to put their family first. So. Yeah. If that's going to dip into, I'm wondering if family time is going to dip into Moon's skill level. But who knows? We'll see. He's Moon. I mean, he's one of the gods of the game. So
True.
You cannot underestimate Moon. So I would put Moon at a second, but I think there's a big question mark around his name in terms of how he's going to perform at this. And then I think third and fourth are very close between Laliat and Focus. Laliat is another big question mark. He plays strategies that are not common to other Night Elf players. So again, he's super hard to prepare for. He's obviously very well known as a Warden player.
True.
And so if he does go up against Happy, he's going to play Warden. And to be honest, Happy almost never plays against Warden. A lot of his Night Elf experience comes from playing against Foggy, and Foggy almost never plays Warden against Undead. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Laliat taking a game off Happy, but taking a best of 3 is a whole nother situation.
That's the kind of thing, right? Moon reminds me, like if you wanna do the gods analogy, he kind of reminds me of the old god, maybe Zeus sitting on his throne, and then you have these young, hungry baby gods, or you have his children just trying to reach for his crown and kick him out of the pantheon. Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe he still has the lightning. Maybe it's time for someone else to step up, though.
It's one of the reasons why this tournament is so hype. Is like the more that you understand about these players and the longer you've been watching this game, like this tournament is hype. I don't know if we're allowed to swear, but it's hype AF. This tournament is going to be so exciting because this is going to be one of the first times we've seen Happy clashing against Moon. Happy in general, he's known as being the cup winner for the last however many months. But to see him go up against these Asian players on a LAN, it's a whole nother situation. It's a whole nother story. So super duper exciting. But the other player of note that is, I said 3-4 is Laliat Focus. And as you mentioned earlier, I think Focus is one of the favorites to take games or a series off of Happy.
Yeah. Even if it's just for the racial matchup, with Cash even looking good against Happy. I know that was just one series out of a dozen they've played, but still, Orc Undead is still a good wager for the Orc players these days.
It's true. Like Cash and Spiral has been putting up games against Happy, and these aren't Focus level players. It's one of the reasons I was so sad to see Lynn not come, because if Lynn was here, Lynn is another one of the OG gods of the game.
Probably in the shape of his life too.
Absolutely. I mean, if Lynn was at this tournament, I think he would be the favorite.
Yeah.
But so it's sad to see him not coming, but Focus is almost like he's like this much below Lynn. So Focus is very much so capable of taking games off Happy. So he's definitely one of the favorites. The other players, as much as I love them, and I love all these guys, I don't see them finishing in the top 4. It's almost like, in my mind, when I look at this player list, I feel like that top 4 is kind of already solidified. It's like, it might
no warm, tingly sensations when you read your NA compadre Hitman.
I mean, I love Hitman. Don't get me wrong. He's not up to the level of Happy, Focus, Laliat, and Moon. He just isn't. And not to mention, I know for a fact. So I just matched Hitman yesterday or 2 days ago on ladder.
Okay.
And
how did it go?
So I lost, but my point is, when it popped up, W3 Booster shows you like the number of games played when you match against him. He has 1,000 games played on Reforged.
He's a grinder at the moment. Whenever I see him, and I see him a lot because I recently had to do a lot of Fight Night stuff with him, getting some interviews done. When he's on Discord, he's always playing. Even like EU times early, I get out of bed, I check my Discord, all sleepy, rubbing my eyes, and there's Hitman playing Warcraft 3. Dude.
It's literally all he does. I don't know. I don't know what he does for I actually know. I know he's a student, so I don't know. I don't know if he's failing his classes or skipping his classes or what's going on. But I swear to God, the guy plays Warcraft every waking moment. So can he take games? Sure, I can see it happening. But another thing to note is all of those 1,000 games that he played on Reforged, he was playing Night Elf. He actually wasn't playing.
He was toying around a lot. That's true.
Yeah, he was off racing. So, yeah, I'm not sure how good that practice is going to be for him. But the other players, probably Hawk and Foggy, are very similar. I would say Hawk and Foggy are going to be 5 and 6, and then Hitman and Thorzane are going to be 7 and 8. I think
Right.
Hawk and Foggy are very similar skill levels. Hitman and Thorzane are very similar skill levels, and it's kind of like that tier. It's going to be those 4 players are kind of like a notch above Foggy and Hawk. Then Foggy and Hawk are 5 and 6, and then Hitman, Thorzane 7 and 8. And I would be, if it's not out of the question to see a player like Entei or Neutron break into that top 8. But I would be it would be an upset. It would absolutely be an upset if a player like that were to break into the top 8. But that's why we have these tournaments. We have these tournaments to see upsets. Otherwise, we would just have an ELO rating and complete the grid without the players playing, right?
And that's the cool thing, man. You can break through, players. Who knows? Maybe there's this one dark horse that nobody had on the radar, and one player is going to show up, enters top 16, and just pulls off, gets a couple of maps, takes a couple of maps of these well-established players, and boom, there goes the surprise. It's just super cool, and that's also something that I mentioned earlier, is that the prize pool is very forgiving. So you make a decent amount of money all the way up to 16. So let's say you take these 8 invited players, they're definitely going to be top 8, and then you take the quote-unquote second guard, you take the Neutrons, the Entei, the OCs, and whatnot. They're also likely going to make a good standing, but then there's still a couple of places left for you to go 12th, 10th, 8th even, and then you walk home all of a sudden with $750, $1,250. I really like the pricing system that they chose overall.
Yeah, and it really helps. It helps players that are spending a lot of money to get to this tournament and play in it. So it's allowing for players like OC and Arc and SSM. I know SSM lives in California, but I mean, even Flame. I mean, Flame can get in the top 16. Like we don't even know who the other players are aside from the players who are listed on this Liquipedia. So I mean, who knows? And anything can happen. I very much so feel that Warcraft is an any given Sunday type of game in terms of when you're talking about this, upper echelon of players and top skill level. Any given day, any one of these players can win a game. It's just a question of, who's playing better that day. Who knows? Maybe Happy gets a bad night's sleep the night before, or maybe OC eats one too many cheeseburgers and and boom, he's it's
get in and out before he enters,
So no, that's a little jab at OC. He's a friend of mine, but yeah, I don't know. It's really exciting. It's super exciting.
And they're all, I mean, for the majority, those are best of 3s, man. So
yeah,
let's say you make it to the round of 16 or something. I mean, it's much easier to take a best of 3 off these well-established players than a best of 5. So that might be another thing to be considered. So yeah, man, Dreamhack Anaheim hype is real. In 18 hours ish. If you're listening to this, it's probably going to be only 12 hours ish or so. We're going to find out more. I can't wait. I'm so eager, and I'm so anxious to see how the casters are going to kill it, how the players are going to knock it off the park. So yeah, it's just a really good tournament, and I think ultimately it's now up to us. It's up to us tuning in, lurking in chat, even if it's just my monitor there. Now I have to do the dishes or I have to do some grocery shopping. I'm going to let my PC run, dude. I'm going to leave it all the way in.
Yeah, I'm going to be walking around with my headphones in while I'm doing my chores and errands throughout the day. Actually, if I can plug my channel really quick.
Absolutely.
I got picked up as
casting, community casting.
I
am.
Or something?
Oh yeah, so plug it right now.
I got accepted as being one of the community commentators.
Cool.
So basically, what that means is during and I'm still actually waiting for information, even though it's starting in 18 hours, like you said. But essentially, they picked, as far as I know, from what I saw in the email, they picked 3 channels to be community casters to help out with like the group stage stuff. Because I'm assuming there's going to be more than 3 games going on.
That would be so cool if you could cast games that are not on the mainstream.
That's essentially,
that would be cool.
Yeah, that's essentially what they're doing. But it was myself, Grubby, and one other stream. It was actually a stream that just does esports stuff,
Uh-huh.
but they aren't really a Warcraft 3 stream. So I wasn't familiar with them. So I apologize. I don't know that stream, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be streaming a lot of the group stages and doing commentators and stuff. And I'm going to be pulling in some other American players to help me with those with the commentating. I know
that's so
Cruncher,
cool.
yeah, Cruncher reached out, who's one of the top American. He's probably actually the best American player. It's really sad not to see him at this tournament, but Cruncher reached out to me and said he would
Somewhere
help me out with
I can
some
hear
commentating.
Hitman just growling and clenching
Hitman
his
and Cruncher,
fist, you know.
Hitman and Cruncher are both very, very close.
Yeah.
But Cruncher tends to take more games off Hitman than the opposite. So, but yeah, my channel, which is twitch.tv/Lado's Lounge, will be streaming most likely a lot of those group stage things on Friday and Saturday.
Okay, I'm also going to show that on the overlay, actually, Lado's Lounge. That's where you hit your boy up, show some support, especially if you're, you know, like into some of the games that may not be shown on the mainstream. Like, let's say you're cheering for a local, your local hero, you're cheering for NA players, you're cheering for a pro that is currently playing off stage or something. You know, you can really catch it all, and it's a really good opportunity. Do you know if Grubby is also casting?
Oh, so he was accepted as a channel to.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that means he is going to do casting because those because I know he does. You know, he's super busy. So I don't know. His name was on the email. I don't know if that means he's going to do it, but I know he was picked as one of the other community channels to help out with the casting.
Yeah, that's really cool. Actually, that's so sick. I'm definitely gonna tune into your stream as well and hop by, and I'll probably have all sorts of, you know, I got 4 monitors here. I'll definitely have 2 streams up all the time, so I catch all the results and I don't miss out on anything or anyone. That's sick.
If I get any preference as far as my games, I'm going to try to focus on either the NA players or players, because those are kind of my two special interests. But I'll cast any game they let me. So
very nice. That's so cool. Yeah. Oh, look who just joined us.
This is my dog. His name is also Lado. Yeah.
That's so cool. By the way, now you plugged your stream, and I'm very happy that you get the opportunity to also present some games to us. I can't wait. So I want to go back to you a little bit more and your stream setup. It's very special, you know, like it's really comfy, really cozy. You have a big old couch, some pillows, and tell us like how or when did you decide to have this setup instead of just a classic, you know, desk, monitor, and mouse?
So I've actually played on a TV for a while. I didn't play on a TV way back when I was playing competitively, but when I started playing Warcraft again, I was like, I'm not going to be competitive, but I'm just going to pick it up for fun. So, you know, there's input delay on my TV, which it's noticeable, but it's like, who cares? I'm not trying to be competitive anymore, right? So basically, I hooked my computer up to my TV because I use my computer as my cable internet. You know, I don't have cable, so I basically use it for Netflix and stuff like that.
Same, yeah.
And to be honest, I didn't even think it was that special. I was like, I play on a TV, who cares? But I started streaming, and people were like, wait a second,
what's happening?
You're like in the top 10 ladder with an 80% win percentage, and you're playing on a couch on a TV. What is going on? So I didn't even think of it as being like special until people started pointing it out. So anyway, yeah. So essentially,
what do you use as mousepad, by the way?
I use a Steel Series. It's like a semi-flexible.
Oh, because I thought it had maybe some more some more texture to it, so it wouldn't be giving in to the pillow or the comfy squishiness of the couch.
No, it's like you can see it kind of bends, but it's pretty hard, but it works. I mean, I like it.
Of course.
I put it here, and I put my keyboard on my lap, and I can actually show. If people can see my camera, right?
Yeah. Oh, nice. We're getting a nice room tour, guys. There we go.
There's my beautiful wife and me.
Okay, nice.
Anyway, that's my TV that I stream on, and then Here is my computer, and I run extension cords.
Beautiful.
Plug my USB, and then when I am quote unquote try hard, I do actually have a desk. Sorry, I do have a desk and monitor.
Next level.
Yeah.
So if you really do need to get some office work done, you can still do it.
Well, in general, I use the desk when I do play significantly better when I'm on a desk and on a monitor. So for cups or tournaments or show matches, or if I'm just generally, if I feel like winning.
What about casting?
No, casting, I usually do it on the couch.
Cool.
I do it just like this. Yeah.
So, nice. Perfect. That's great, man. We even got a little room tour. Does your wife play video games too?
She plays
because you're taking a lot of space, I assume, in the house.
we play like some couch co-op games together. But she is not competitive at all.
No AT 2v2.
No, in general, my rule is actually that I only play. Sorry about that. My dog is being playful.
No worries. No worries.
In general, my rule is that I only play video games. Wife is either working or sleeping. So she works a lot more than I do. So essentially, I'll get home and I stream some games, and then when she gets home, then it's family time.
Man, I'm pretty sure Lado and Logan would be best friends.
I think so. Yeah, he's a good dog. He comes on my stream a lot. He's usually more popular than I am on my stream. So
I'm sure even Grubby would hate to admit that that's the same case for him.
Yeah, it's true.
So
People
cool.
love dogs. People love dogs.
People do.
Yeah.
All right, man. That's really cool, actually. So we covered DreamHack Anaheim. We're hyped about that, and talked a little bit about your past. So now I want to talk as our final topic of discussion. I want to touch base on the upcoming stuff. The 2020 is a long year, and for the ESL Pro Tour, we're going to have several tournaments. Some of them in Europe. We have one in Australia confirmed, and Reforged is still not there where people want it to be, and that's the first thing I want to get back into. I mean, what are your expectations right now? Is there anything that you would like to see in the game more than anything else, if you could choose one? I
mean, right now the clock is ticking on Blizzard. Like, all eyes are on Blizzard right now to implement these changes that we want.
Yes.
And I was actually just on Todd's podcast.
I was going to ask you about that too. How did that show go yesterday?
Well, it was good. It was really, really good.
Good.
It was it's worth checking out. It's called Todd's Town Hall.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's a lot of good information from the community. But
it's on Todd's YouTube if you want to check the VODs and his Twitch channel. So definitely check it out.
One of the points I made on his show was that a lot of the features that people are asking for are not things that are like reinventing the wheel. It's things that already exist or have existed in the past that Blizzard essentially just needs to either implement or re-implement. So the things that I referred to on Todd's podcast yesterday was that right now, if you want to play Warcraft at like the top level, you have to play on NetEase because there's no MMR or ladder or essentially competitive games on Battle.net. So you have to play on NetEase. In order to play on NetEase, you need a UU. You need a ping accelerator because all of the servers are in China. In order to get custom hotkeys, you either have to create this text file or get a text file, or the grid sometimes works and sometimes doesn't work, and you still can't remap the inventory keys. So you need another program to do hotkeys, and then there's the stats overlay is you need W3 Booster. So
yeah,
that's essentially 4 third-party programs that you kind of need.
It's a pain in the butt, really.
Right, but these are all things that already exist. But they're in such demand from the community that these third-party people came and made these programs for our community. Why can't Blizzard do it? Like Blizzard, like put it into the game yourself, Blizzard. You like all of these things are there.
That's actually the case for so many things, isn't it, dude? Like you look at these custom-made campaign cutscenes, where people actually made these sick action movie style cutscenes, and you're like, if one man or maybe a small group of people can do it, if they can do it, how could it be that a AAA studio such as Blizzard was not able to get their asses together and just do it, you know? And you mentioned it's the case for the multiplayer aspect. It's the case about the campaign stuff that was promised but not delivered. It's just so mind-blowing.
Yeah. And so as far as what should be implemented right now is all of the stuff, basically all of the stuff that they took away from, you know, the classic Warcraft 3 that was taken away when Reforged was introduced. So essentially a functional ladder, a profile, even
Plans.
Bring back those daily BattleNet tournaments. Those were so much fun. And the you know, it gave people a chance to like put their name on the line and like, you know, see if they could make it to the finals. And so these are all things that Blizzard has had before, but for whatever reason decided not to implement them into Reforged. So and even like as far as the ladder, if they don't want to do like the classic ladder, they already have, at least in my mind, I mean, I might be thinking about it the wrong way, but they already have all the code from StarCraft. It's essentially a copy. Now, it might be harder than a copy paste, but in my mind, it's two very similar platforms between StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
Just do the same thing for Warcraft 3. Everyone wants it. So when we have this tournament and we have 10,000 people watching this tournament and Blizzard gets, you know, 5,000 new purchases of the game, when those people come on and buy the game and click the play button, are they going to get a join bug 3 times in a row, uninstall the game, ask for a refund, and then that's going to be it? That's basically a lost player in my mind. So that's
literally the worst case scenario. Just imagine if this tournament, you know, finds huge success, crazy numbers, people are killing it, you know, it's creating this new hype wave, and people who initially may have been like, well, I'm not going to play that game, might be like, nah, maybe I'll check it out now. You know, it looked really dope, and I could even get used to the new graphics at some point. And then they check it out, they go online, and like you said, they get a join bug, they can play the games, it's shitty pings, you have 2 American players, and for some reason they're playing on an EU server, or the other way around. So you all have these pesky little things, and that would immediately kill the hype that Dreamhack Anaheim was able to produce.
It goes back to that point I made earlier where people's time is valuable. So when people are playing this game, they're investing their time into this game. And if that feels like time wasted for that person, the person isn't going to, there's a million video games out there. They're not going to waste their time with Warcraft 3 if it's bug ridden, or if they have issues with it, or if it just generally isn't fun for them. So in improving those quality of life things and making sure that the game meets people's expectations when they load up the game for the first time is so important. And
it's not even like,
please listen to us.
Please do it. I mean, this is your big chance to really make up for some of the crap you pulled off earlier. So this is really like strong tournament, a patch right after. You know, that would be really a strong sign to the community out there that they still haven't forgotten us. You know, they forgot about us, but they're willing, hopefully, to make up for it. And it's not even like in the RTS segment that we have this luxurious position of what else are going to people play online? Ha ha ha. But you actually look like StarCraft 2 is still there, free to play. It's still a competitor in some way, shape, or form. And then you look at other games like Age of Empires Definitive Edition. Like there's still other games that do things really, really well. I think if you look at Age of Empires 2 in particular, that's actually how it should have been, or how it could have been in many ways, of rebooting, relaunching a series.
I wasn't familiar with Age of Empires 2 until after Reforged, and then I watched video.
7.5K viewers at the moment on Twitch. I was just checking.
I watched a video of like the comparison between the definitive edition of Age of Empires versus Warcraft 3 Reforged, and it just makes you just makes you face palm so hard, and it makes you think like, where was the internal testing from Blizzard? Like, why didn't they ask for more input? Like, and essentially when they released the beta back in, I don't remember when it was like November. Oh, it was at BlizzCon actually. They said that the beta was released. So it was in November, and they basically had 2 more months. There was, I'm sorry, but I got into the beta the day that the beta was introduced. There were 0 changes between the beta and the actual release. So, yeah, I don't know, that whole like 2-month span, and even the 2-year span. Come on, it was 2 years. It was announced 2 years ago. you could make a whole new. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit heated.
It's okay, man. You know, these wounds, it's gonna take a while until they're fully healed, if they're ever gonna heal. It's true. It's just true. So yeah, I think it's in all of our interest, really, that after a strong DreamHack, which I think it will be, that Blizzard is going to deliver at least something, you know, and it doesn't even need to be that big of a thing to fix the game as a whole immediately, but we actually had one bigger patch so far, and I think it was mostly single player stuff or performance stuff that was introduced. So nothing really fancy in terms of multiplayer stuff. I just want a multiplayer patch, you know, after a strong esports tournament, multiplayer patch.
Yeah, they fixed the color bug. It was a big issue with like when units were like transforming,
and the
or
sound bug, I think.
Yeah, the sound bug was a big one. So yeah, just releasing a patch was good news, because you know there was a chance Blizzard, aka Activision, was just going to say, you know what, this is a failure.
Never happened.
Yeah, we'll take the people's money that pre-ordered it, and we'll see you guys with our next microtransaction game. So it's good that we at least saw a patch, so they haven't completely given up on the game yet. But yeah, it's really going to be on Blizzard after this tournament to see where they take it.
So, with all the esports going down, Lado, what are your personal plans, Warcraft 3 related or not, for this year? Anything that's on your agenda, on your bucket list?
Personally, I would love to break into like the professional commentator scene. I love commentating. I think I generally get really positive feedback when I am commentating. I think I bring, you know, a high enough skill level, plus I think I'm articulate enough with the way I describe the game, and I think I bring points that people may miss otherwise. So I would love to. I would love to break into the.
You bring the pet,
the professional, the professional commentators. I would love to get to like I actually tried to get into the Anaheim and to be one of the commentators in Anaheim, but I never heard anything. But it's good that I was accepted as this community commentator. I feel like that's a platform.
Which I can tell you is already the first step, man. I mean,
yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
And I think the cool thing about Warcraft 3 and Reforged and the newly reinventing esports scene is that nothing is really set in stone, aside from back to Warcraft, and by any means they deserve it with every inch. So, but aside from that, really, I think we're going to see, or we could see, some newer people or some people that didn't have the chance before. So I'm rooting for you every way, all the way, and I support you on that. And you've been fairly busy recently too. Like you really made your name pop up a couple of times. So you've been on Todd's show, the town hall meeting, like you said. You've been streaming a lot, I guess. Yeah.
So I've been trying to stream as many of these cups and commentate the cups. We also did Todd held a tag team tournament that I commentated with Todd. It was a couple weeks ago.
I watched that actually. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that was a super fun event. Yeah, and I play on my stream, and then on top of that, I have a full-time job and a wife, so I'm staying very, very busy. And then on top of that, I'm actually going to be a dad in about 8 weeks. So
no way! That's amazing.
Yeah, so the birth of my son is expected somewhere around April 12th. So that's going to be a life change. So
nice.
The amount of time I'm able to dedicate to streaming Warcraft may be lessened a little bit, but I don't plan to cut it completely out of my life yet.
If Warcraft 3 were still a thing in 5 to 10 years from now, which I think it will, and your son picks up the keyboard, picks up a mouse, which race would you like him to pick up? Is there even a question?
Human or undead, not Night Elf.
Oh, really? You don't want him to be Night Elf?
It's actually kind of like, have you ever? There's this thing with parents and their kids, and the parents never want the kids to do what they do because all that they see is like the bad in it, and they don't want their kids to experience that bad. And I actually feel that way about Night Elf. I think that Night Elf it's either the third or fourth weakest race. It has to be. Gotcha. I think that human and orc human and undead are number one and number two. So I would let him pick what race he wants to play, but I would very heavily push him towards human or undead.
Well, if you make Todd the Godfather, you know which race he's gonna play.
Yeah.
That would be so cool, man. Lado, any final words before we close the show? Any shout outs? Plug your stream again and tell us more about your future real quick. Like, where can people find you, and maybe shout outs, to really close it off.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. This was a blast. I always spout about how much I love the Warcraft community and how great the people are. So just if I am to say one last thing, get involved in the Warcraft community, guys. Just get invested and you will have so much more fun with this game. Like, get involved with the cups, go on the streams, talk to the players, like, get on a team. There's another plug I could do is like the gym Discord. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you can link that, but the gym Discord is like, it's a great place to learn the game and talk to players and get advice. And yeah, just if you're interested in this game, even like this much, it is so much more fun if you kind of invest your time and, take that time to learn the game. So I would say gym Discord, check out streams. The community in this place is great. Plugging my stream again is twitch.tv/Lado's Lounge. You're always welcome to kick off your shoes and put your feet up and relax in my in my channel.
Can we find you on Twitter as well? I wasn't able to find you there.
So I have a Twitter. I've been meaning to get more active on it, and I do have a Twitter. It's at Lado Blanco, but I almost never use it.
All right, so we're gonna wait until you make it official and you're committing to it.
Yeah, and and just aside from that, I would say shout out to all the American homies. American players we have a lot of fun with each other, like with our like late night CG games and stuff. And that's another thing, like, get involved. Like, if you want to like play with us, like, the thing about playing this game now versus 15 years ago is players are so accessible now. So it is so, like, all of the information is out there. All you have to do is go get it. So I urge anyone that even likes this game this much to take it to the next level. Like, get invested.
And you know what? I couldn't have said it any better way. So without further ado, I would say we're going to close the show and follow Lado's advice. There's really nothing more to add. This is the time to really, get involved, even if it's just lurking on Twitch streams, having a good time there, or getting active, like he said, get involved into all those beautiful weekly cups, especially in Europe. There's a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, guys, that was it. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you so much, Lado, for showing up and for taking your time. I know you're coming straight off work, basically. That's what kind of a boss he is, just hopped on the stream and hopped on the show. And it was really great having you, man.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun. And seriously, this is like Warcraft 3. Like, guys, it's so great. It's such a great game. Seriously.
If you guys want to see more Lado, of course, you go to twitch.tv/Lado's Lounge. He'll be casting the upcoming Dreamhack Anaheim. Like he said, there's going to be all sorts of community goodness happening there. And just give him a shout out, give him some love. And if you guys want to see more Warcraft 3 on this channel, you leave a subscription if you're watching on YouTube, or you can subscribe on the respective audio source, whether you're in Spotify or iTunes. We would love to see you or, hear you again in the future. So guys, until then, take care and see you in the next episode.